Okay, let's dive into this. Have you ever worked in a big organization and just got the feeling that things are, well, kind of broken, inefficient, almost like the whole system is designed to work against itself? Today, we're going to unpack a pretty brilliant theory that explains all that dysfunction.
You've seen this, right? A project gets a 6-month deadline and somehow it takes exactly 6 months to the day. Or a simple performance metric gets introduced and suddenly it's the only thing anyone cares about, twisting all the actual work out of shape. These things feel like annoying laws of nature, but what if they're not? What if they're all just symptoms of a single, much deeper cause?
So to get to the bottom of this, we first have to round up the usual suspects. In the world of management, there are 3 really famous laws that everyone points to when they try to explain this stuff.
First up, you've got Parkinson's Law. We all know this one in our bones. Give a team 3 weeks for a task that could honestly take 1, and, like clockwork, it's going to take 3 weeks. It's like work is a gas that just expands to fill whatever container you put it in.
Then there's Conway's Law. Now this one's a little more subtle, but oh man is it powerful. It basically says that your org chart becomes the blueprint for your technology. So if you have a marketing team and a sales team that barely speak to each other, you are absolutely going to build a marketing system and a sales system that don't speak to each other. It's inevitable.
And of course, the infamous Goodhart's Law. This is the granddaddy of all messed up incentives. The second you tell a team your bonus depends only on this one number, that number becomes their entire universe. They will hit that target, even if it means doing things that are totally counterproductive for the business as a whole. The metric stops being a helpful guide and just becomes a game.
So we have these 3 laws, and the typical advice is to fight each one separately. Set tighter deadlines, force more communication, pick better metrics. But here's the big twist. Trying to fix these problems one by one is exactly why nothing ever really changes. That whole way of looking at it, it's just wrong.
And this is the absolute key to understanding everything. These aren't 3 different forces you have to fight on 3 different fronts. No, they are one single connected chain reaction. One domino knocks over the next, which knocks over the next, in a cascade of pure dysfunction.
So let's pull back the curtain. It's time to reveal how this cascade actually works. We're going to trace the entire chain of events, from the very first domino all the way down to the frustrating stuff we have to deal with every day.
So where does it all begin? What's the prime mover? It's something so basic, so completely unavoidable that we barely even notice it. It all starts with the simple act of subdivision. Any company that grows beyond a certain size has to break itself down into smaller units. Teams, departments, divisions. You just can't manage thousands of people in one giant blob. And here it is, the whole machine laid bare. It starts with subdivision because of scale. But as soon as you create a team, you create a boundary. That's Conway's Law. Not as a problem, but just as a first natural effect. This instantly creates competition. Each new unit, this selfish cell, develops an instinct to survive. It has to prove its value, to get funding, to get headcount. And how do you prove your value? You need to measure something. You need data. But the moment you create that metric, it becomes a target that's tied to the team's survival. And boom, Goodhart's Law kicks in. This isn't people being evil, it's people trying to survive. The cell then optimizes everything it does to hit that target, whether it helps the company or not. And finally, that leads to expansion. The better they get at hitting their game's target, the more resources they can justify. And of course, work expands to fill those new resources. And there it is, Parkinson's Law. Not as a weird mystery, but as the final logical domino to fall.
So you can see the whole flow right here. Conway's Law describes the subdivision that creates the selfish cell. That cell's need to survive creates the perfect environment for Goodhart's Law to take over. And the behavior driven by Goodhart's Law is what ultimately produces the effect we call Parkinson's Law. It's all one process.
So if this is one big structural problem, what does that say about all the management advice we're always getting? Well, frankly, it means most of it is destined to fail, because it's trying to fix a structural problem with behavioral advice. It's like fighting gravity with just good intentions. Think about it. We get this really well-meaning advice like, hey, don't set targets, just manage the business. But that totally ignores the cold, hard reality on the ground. A middle manager's bonus, their promotion, maybe their entire job, depends on hitting the targets that their boss gave them. They are structurally programmed to hit the target, no matter what some management guru says.
And this quote just nails it perfectly. Telling a manager to ignore the very metric that determines their success is morally correct and structurally naive. You're asking this selfish cell to act against its own survival programming. It's just not going to happen.
Okay,
So are we just doomed? Is it all hopeless? No, not at all. But the real leverage, the point where you can actually make a change, isn't where we usually look. It only exists in a few specific places, these Archimedean points where the organization is forced to slam into ungameable reality.
Just look at the difference here. A middle manager can have a meeting to redefine what counts as a critical defect to make their quality numbers look better. It's an internal game. But a CEO is accountable to bankruptcy. You can't redefine bankruptcy. The market is a harsh, non-negotiable reality. That's a real point of leverage.
Reality also wins when you make feedback loops incredibly short. You see, the power to game a metric is directly tied to how long it takes to see the result. A quarterly review gives you months of wiggle room for politics and storytelling. But a daily A/B test? The results are in before the political spin machine can even warm up. The feedback is just too fast to be gamed.
So if the problem is architectural, then the solutions have to be architectural. This isn't about changing people's attitudes with motivational posters. It's about changing the system that shapes their behavior in the first place. So let's open up the Architect's Toolkit.
The toolkit really has 5 main principles. 1. Keep your org chart as flat as you can. Fewer layers means fewer selfish cells competing with each other. 2. Push your teams as close to the actual customer as possible so they're judged by real outcomes, not internal politics. 3. Shorten those feedback loops. Make them daily or weekly, not quarterly. 4. And this is a big one. Use metrics to learn and diagnose problems, not just to evaluate and reward people. And 5. Be realistic. You can never eliminate this dynamic completely, so accept that there will be some loss and design a system that can handle it gracefully.
And I think this is just the perfect way to wrap your head around it. You can't wish away gravity, and you can't wish away the selfish cell dynamic. But a skilled architect doesn't fight gravity, they understand it, they use it, they work with it to build incredible soaring cathedrals. The challenge isn't to pretend these forces don't exist, but to design a system where they lead to good outcomes.
So the question I want to leave you with is this. Look at your own workplace through this new lens. Are your leaders always trying to fix symptoms, essentially just fighting gravity with more rules and pep talks? Or are they acting like architects, acknowledging these fundamental forces and trying to build a structure that channels them in a productive way? It's a question that really changes everything.